You can probably tell it's not a sponsored video because they've done a few things wrong and I'm telling you all about it, but I'm telling you how it is. Hello guys, and welcome to this volkswizard video, which is actually episode 9 of Project R8. Now in today's video I've got to get something done to this car that you will have to get done to your car at some point, and that's get it serviced. I could do it here for just the cost of the parts, or I could even go to a specialist like APS who will do a great job for a lot less than a main dealer. But for this car at 5 years old, there really is no choice. I've got to go to a main dealer, primarily to get the service entry into the digital record, but also because I want them to check over the bodywork for any signs of the aluminium corrosion that these cars are prone to, because then that will make sure that the warranty is valid for the full 12 years. To help them with that, I've given the car a good wash. I'm really sorry it's so dark now, but it was the last job of the day. I haven't even cleaned the wheels properly because they're not going to inspect those, but I just want them to have a good clear look at the bodywork. Another reason is that I've been able to check for damage because I haven't washed it for a good few weeks. I don't actually wash it very often. So I wanted to make sure that if there was any new damage on it, I knew it happened before the service, so that I know when I go to the main dealer in their really tight car parks, that if anybody doors it there, I know it happened there, and I will, make sure they can get it sorted, hopefully with a smart repair. It has happened before. The most interesting thing about this though will be to see the quality of service I get as an R8 customer. Because at the moment, from my past experience, I think any Audi customer going to a main dealer is very, very lucky to get any decent level of service, even if they're going in an A1. I find because they're selling so many cars, they're a bit stretched in the workshops, and the quality of service really hasn't been very good. So I will tell you the truth here. This is not a sponsored video. I'm going to pay for this with my own money. I'll show you the receipt. I'm just curious to see what I'll get as an R8 customer. Will I get an R8 tech doing the work? Will I get a courtesy car that's a suitable replacement for this car, or will they just put me into an A1? It will be really interesting to see. So without any further ado, let's get this car down to Birmingham Audi for its service.
It's one of these
Wide cars.
Yeah.
I'll go for the M1.
If I get left hand side, sir.
Can I go in the M1, did you say?
You may do the M1, sir.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Morning guys, well I'm in the car park at Birmingham Audi. The good news is there was a guy marshalling cars into their parking spaces, and when he saw it was an R8 he specifically put me in this extra wide disabled space, which I don't think is a problem because there are 2 other spaces that are free if people with disabilities turn up, so that's really good news. I don't have to worry about door dents, at least for now. So I'm going to go inside and sign my life away, and then I'll be back to show you how well I've done in the courtesy car lottery draw. So see you in a bit. Okay guys, well I'm in a lay-by just around the corner from Birmingham Audi because it's a very busy site. I'll show you the courtesy car later. I'll just tell you how that experience was, and it was really good. As soon as I got out of the car, the meter and greeter, a chap called Tim Carlos, introduced himself, told me he'd been there 12 years, really liked his job, and that was really nice. And then I walked into reception, didn't have to speak to any of the people on the reception desk because a man standing in front of it greeted me, which again I thought was really nice, because normally you go to the desk, they're on the phones, whatever. And then he put me straight in touch with the service advisor who was waiting for me. I was a bit late because the traffic was bad. That went okay. They did tell me the car hadn't had a brake fluid change, so I agreed to pay for that. He did say that if I didn't do it, it would mean the service light might not go out, which I found a bit suspicious because I can't see how the brakes are related to the servicing reminder at all, but I could be wrong. And then they did charge me 15 quid for the courtesy car, so I'm determined to get a fair bit of use out of it. It's an A5 Sportback in a rather unattractive white. Actually, it doesn't make the most of the styling on this car, but beggars can't be choosers. Apparently it's not necessarily, this is probably one of the better courtesy cars you can get, but it's not given to me because I had an R8. It's just the way it landed. I could quite easily have been given an A1, because they don't think about the car you're given based upon the car you're bringing in. So yeah, can't grumble. It's a shame it's a bit dirty, but hey ho. It's got a pan roof, so I guess that kind of makes up for it. It's a petrol engine. It only came with a quarter of a tank of juice, which is a bit of a shame. I was hoping it would be full and I could give it back full, but I'm not sure if this car is somebody's car that they go to and from home and it's just literally come in from the home run and I'm driving it away. But whatever, it's still better than having to walk or getting an Uber. So yeah, not bad. So next up, I think we'll see when the tracker activates, because I can monitor the car's movements on the tracker and we'll see how progress goes. I don't think it'll be long. They're expecting me between 4 and 6 o'clock today, so I really only said that late just so I can get most use out of the courtesy car. So catch you in a bit. Okay guys, well it's about lunchtime and I still haven't had the call from Audi, but I'm out and about enjoying my A5 courtesy car. But even though I'm about 30 miles away, I can still check up on the car using the Meta Trak app that's connected to the tracking device in the R8. So this will tell me exactly where the car is. It's still at the dealer. It can tell me if it's been anywhere, which it hasn't yet. And it can also tell me if it's had the ignition on and off, which it has done a couple of times now. So I presume the first one was when the service advisor got the mileage, and the second time, hopefully, was when the car went into the workshop. So yeah, not an awful lot to report. No signs of any Ferris Bueller joyriding going on with it as yet. Okay guys, it's around 25 to 5 now and I've just had the call from Birmingham Audi to tell me the car's ready. I haven't asked them if there's anything wrong with it, but they seem pretty ready to give it back to me, so that's good news. I can't exactly see when the car was test driven and where the driver went, so I'm just going to have a look now. And yeah, he didn't do a circular route. He sort of did the back roads around Birmingham Audi and turned around and came right back. He drove for about 12 minutes, did about 4 miles, and the app gave it a rating of 0 out of 100 for smoothness. So it was driven in a quite spirited way, but I wouldn't read anything into that because I've got a couple of drives here recently that were 0 out of 100 and I don't drive like a lunatic, so I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, I'm glad they've test driven it properly as well, because their expertise in those cars is better than mine, so I'd rather they find any faults when they drive it, which hopefully they haven't. So I'm about to set off to go and collect it, but before I do, I thought I'd give you a quick look at the courtesy car. So it turns out this is an A5 2-litre petrol. It looks like the Golf R engine in this car, but just sideways on. It only produces 150 horsepower, which is a bit feeble for such a big car, but it's got a 7-speed S-tronic, so it makes the most of that power, and yeah, it goes quite well. What I was most impressed about is the MPG, which is pretty much diesel levels of MPG. I'll just give you a look. So we've got 44.4 miles per gallon over 1 hour 40 of driving, 38 miles per hour average, and 63.4 miles, and that was mostly up motorway speeds, to be honest, and a bit of pottering around on country lanes. So that's pretty good. It's pretty much the same as an S4 TDI, but an S4 TDI's got over twice the power of this car. So yeah, diesels are not all bad. Now this is a pre-facelift car because it's a 19 reg. Well, actually you can get 19 facelift cars, but probably not customer cars, maybe only press cars. It's really weird having this sort of tablet but still having to use the MMI, not being able to touch it, so that's a bit disappointing. I've kind of got used to this shifter now because it's actually cleverer than I thought. If you just turn the engine off, it goes straight into park. So if I turn it on and go into drive, if I turn it off, it's straight into park. So that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, it's alright. I don't particularly like the colour combination on this car and the wheels. It actually reminds me of my R8 when I got it. A bit too white or light down the side of it. Anyway, time to give this old girl back. But yeah, my passenger in the car today really liked this car, and I don't know how much it costs. It's probably about much as my R8 is today, but yeah, I think I'd rather have the R8, so let's go and collect it. Okay guys, well as you can see, Project R8 is now safely back in my workshop, having just been collected from Birmingham Audi. The collection process was pretty good. It wasn't as slick as in the morning. There was a bit of waiting involved, and I had to speak to a different service advisor, so it'd be really good to speak to the same guy you left the car with in the morning, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I guess it's difficult if two people turn up asking for the same service advisor, so yeah, fair enough. A bigger issue really was that I hoped they'd inspect the bodywork at this service, or at least take note of anything that I could point out to them, but they don't do that at that site. That's the biggest Audi dealership probably in the UK, and they said I have to go to a body shop, which would either be Droitwich or Coventry. That's probably best part of an hour and a half, 2 hours round trip. So that was a bit disappointing. I thought for the warranty to be valid on the bodywork, they inspected it, but they obviously don't. A minor issue was that they offered me a drink in the morning when I wasn't waiting, and then this afternoon when I was waiting and I really could have murdered a coffee, they didn't. So I helped myself to, I think it was a mochaccino, which was pretty good, but then it should be, because it's probably the most expensive free coffee I'm ever going to get, because an oil change, brake fluid change and inspection was 599 quid. Well, £15 of that was the courtesy car as well, so quite a lot of money. But then it's a specialist car, so you have to pay for these things, and I think it'd be a lot more with other sort of exotic cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and I think even Porsche. So yeah, I don't resent a penny of that. I'm slightly miffed that they appear to have underfilled the oil, which, you know who you are, you think they always overfill oil at Audi. Well, you've got some of my oil, so I'll have it back off you. So I'll just show you. Now I need to point out there is a very special process for checking the oil on this car. You have to run it for 2 minutes at idle, turn it off for 2 minutes, and then you can dip the stick. Now it's a dry sump car, so it's a little bit different to what you normally get, but basically from this line onwards on the dipstick you have the fill zone. So when the car's filled, it should be up to here, and that'll probably give you a few thousand miles of driving before you burn through it, because they do use a bit of oil. This car's not too bad, I know that because I've been checking the oil so regularly, and it's probably about a couple of thousand miles per litre, if that, so that's pretty good. Anyway, I got the car back, not with the oil up to the top here, but just about a third of the way up. So it says do not fill. It's only gone up as far as the do. So it's probably about 700 mil of oil short of being there, which is a bit of a shame because it means I'm going to have to top it up with oil in probably about probably about 500, maybe 1,000 miles instead of it being 2,000 to 3,000. So that's a bit of a shame, but at least they didn't overfill it, which is a bit harder to resolve. Now, I just want to show you the bill to prove this isn't a sponsored video. You can probably tell it's not a sponsored video because they've done a few things wrong and I'm telling you all about it, but I'm telling you how it is. Here's my bill. I paid £599 on my debit card. I got an oil change, an inspection. The good news is that an experienced R8 tech, I did ask, it was a trained R8 technician, did the work on the car. Hello, Paul. Thanks for working on my car. Yeah, an R8 technician did the job, and all he could find wrong with the car, I don't know how hard he looked to be perfectly honest, was that the tyre foam was out of date. That was November 2015, which is a bit weird because that means it was out of date 18 months after the car was registered. So I'll have to check that, but whatever, it's probably out of date now because the car's 5 and a bit years old. So I can get one of those for a lot less than £80. So yeah, it's not an insignificant sum for what work has been done, but like I said, it's a specialist car, and I think it gives me just a lot of peace of mind now that the car's been checked over, test driven by a technician who's trained in these cars, and he hasn't found anything wrong with it. I think that's pretty priceless. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this volkswizard video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one, which will probably be engine bay detailing because I've really got to attend to that because it lets the rest of the car down. So yeah, I'll see you for that video really soon.